All right, welcome to the Best of 2025 series. This is the best movies of the year conversation. I'm Craig Detweiler and Elijah Davidson back here with me. Craig, Elijah, welcome to the conversation.
Happy New Year, Joshua. Let's roll.
Yeah, thanks. A lot of fun.
Yes, it'll be great. I'd love to really just start. We're going to be talking about 2025 movies. What were our favorites? What are the best of the year? Just some quick thoughts. What was your 2025 like at the movies? What was it like for you, your film year? Any themes that really stood out? What stood out to you in 2025? How about you, Elijah?
This was a different kind of year for me, going to the movies. For the past 15 years or so, I've written about 50 or 60 film reviews a year about the theatrical stuff and festival stuff. And but this year, I took a step back from doing that, from writing that many reviews all the time, and writing for public reading. Too. I kind of wanted to, after doing that for so long, there was a kind of a method I had to doing that where my own personal experience of the film didn't matter as much in what I was writing. I mean, it mattered in the to the extent that it helped me understand what the film was doing. But when I went down to write about a movie, I would kind of take that out of it for the most part, and try to just take the movie on its own terms without me.
Yeah.
And I got to a place about 2 years ago where I wanted to stop doing that, and I wanted to pay more attention to how the movie was affecting me directly, and what I was writing and watching. And I went through another year of writing reviews and trying to work that out. And this year I just kind of stepped back from writing a lot of reviews. I wrote a little bit for my own newsletter, a little bit privately, but I really tried to hone into okay, how is this affecting me and why? And really, I mean, what might God be working on me with through these movies, and paying a lot of attention to that. So my list that we'll talk about in a minute, it reflects that, especially in the ordering. I tended towards things I had strong personal responses to, and we'll talk about why. They're not movies that are going to be out of the ordinary. They'll be on y'all's list too, but the ordering will be a little different probably.
Yeah. Good. How about you, Craig?
I think for me, there were an abundance of great films this year, or at least very good films this year. So to limit it to 10 was actually very hard. I feel like the list should probably be 25-ish, maybe 30 even. And I found that very encouraging, that there's a lot of great creative work going. What I was a little bit sad is that these things kind of dropped as trees falling in the forest and nobody noticed.
Yeah.
And I think that's increasingly the problem, where the release schedules and the small releases and 2 weeks on screen before it goes straight to streaming, it's hard to make anything into an event that anybody actually notices.
Yeah.
And so there's 3 or 4 maybe this year that everybody would be like, oh yeah, I saw that. And the rest are like, oh, I heard about that. Where is that streaming? Where is it streaming? Is that available? When is that available? Yeah. And it's I don't know, the decline of the theatrical experience, I think, is costing us some collective knowledge and collective conversation about what's maybe some really great work that's just unheralded and unnoticed. So I'm super glad that you're focusing on this today, Joshua.
Yeah.
It made me sad, that thing about how fast movies went by too, especially because there were so many movies this year that I thought in very artistic and nuanced and thoughtful ways tried to deal with the current situation, and in a way that movies, post-pandemic, deal with this whole thing that we're going through. And we haven't had a lot of that coming straight out of the pandemic. It took a little time for the filmmakers to really get those movies out, and it was unfortunate, I thought, that so many movies went by so quickly when they were trying to have a complicated conversation about that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that is a much bigger conversation about the state of the movie industry and what does it look like going forward. And I pray that we do have more longer theatrical releases. We have bigger conversations culturally of what it looks like, because these were fantastic movies this year. I have really 25 films, and probably at least 20 of them could have been in my top 10, easy. And so it was hard to nail it down. I think my top 7 were solid. They were there. That like I couldn't get it off my top 10, but my bottom 3 had to maneuver around. I think I put one back on this morning before this in my bottom 3. So it was a fantastic year. I think, like you, Elijah, a lot of these were the things that really impacted me. These movies, this had a big impact on me personally. What God is trying to say to me. What are the actually questions I'm asking in my life? What are the cultural questions that are happening this year? And so I think they're fantastic movies. It was a great year in 2025, and hopefully we get more movies like this going forward, and better theatrical releases so that we could see them where they belong, is in the theater on the big screen. So that's good. Well, let's get started, get going into our top 10. So Elijah, we're going to start with you. What's your number 10 of the year?
Okay, I'm going to cheat. And I have 2 movies in my number 10 spot.
I wish I could cheat too. Come on.
I'm going to cheat. I had a very firm 10. And then I went and saw another movie again a couple days ago, and I was like, I got to include that movie in my list. And so I didn't want to bump out my number 10 for that one, so I'm cheating. Totally cheating here. So my cheat at number 10, I'm going to have 2 movies that are very different, but I loved for lots of reasons. Predator Badlands and Hamnet are both tied for my 10 spot. So very, very different movies.
No, they're very similar.
Yeah. Almost the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And again, I couldn't bump Predator Badlands out of my list because I had such a great time at that movie. It was just, I'm not a big Predator franchise person. Like I enjoyed the Arnold movie, but don't really care about much of the rest of them too much. But I love this latest stretch of Predator movies, Prey, Killer of Killers, and then Badlands. They're so much fun, and they're just thoughtful enough that it makes you feel like you're not really wasting your time. And they're just a kick. I mean, I just love them. Yeah. So I wanted to include that one on there. And then Hamnet. I'm sorry, my dog is whining, and she's going to keep doing that. Yes. I apologize.
The famous "my dog is whining" problem. All
Best
critics have to get past it.
Yeah. Sorry. And then Hamnet. Hamnet is just a beautiful film. Amazingly put together. It is just so emotional, so nice to see a world that feels so real, a Shakespeare world that feels so real, and I loved it so much that I can get over something that really bothered me in the last few moments of the movie, a score choice that they made that I don't think was necessary. And it took me out of the movie at the very end when it's the most powerful. But it's still so powerful when it gets to that culminating moment that I can kind of overcome that. Predator Badlands because somewhere deep inside me, I'm still like a 10-year-old boy who just wants to play with fun toys or watch people play video games is kind of what that movie felt like.
Yeah.
But Hamnet, because this is the more serious side. My own son, we had health issues with him when he was very little, and it made a huge impact on how I parent. And I've worked through a lot of this in therapy and prayer and stuff like that too, to kind of like get over a lot of that those hard times. But Hamnet, it deals with that, kids being sick and how parents deal with that, and working in the middle of it and all that. And when it was all over, as I drove home, I just prayed that God would never take one of my kids away from me, because I'm never going to write something as good as Hamlet to make it worth it. So, so that's my type for 10. Those 2 movies.
Great choices. I love Predator Badlands. I love the experience. It was a lot of fun. The relationship with the Elle Fanning robot character was great.
Gosh.
All the way through. So that was a lot of fun. didn't really like the Predator's face wasn't my favorite to look at
Yeah,
throughout the movie,
it
but
never is. Little
yeah,
catfish
Hamnet
mouth.
itself. Going into Hamnet, I expected it to maybe be my favorite movie of the year. Like having Ghostlight, Sing Sing on last year of like, what does Shakespeare have to say about dealing with grief and how does art can help heal the pain of that? Hamnet, I don't know what it was, but it didn't make my top 10. It made my 11 through 20. It's a fantastic movie, visually stunning, incredible performance by Jessie Buckley. Like she's just giving everything there. And then Jacob B. Jupe, the young kid that plays Hamnet, is also incredible. I mean, he gives just a great performance, but it didn't have the, I don't know, some sort of an effect. And I think it may be because Chloe Zhao's not a literary type of wordsmith type of director. It's very, visual in the forests. But it's the words that I'm looking for some reason in Shakespeare. And I just didn't get it as much in Hamnet.
I could see that. It was interesting to see her doing something that was so like directly a narrative and none of this like
Yeah.
mix of documentary and narrative kind of stuff that she normally has done, which I love those movies. The Rider is still one of my absolute favorite films, and I like when she's kind of working in that mode. So I enjoyed watching her make a straight thing, and it felt very much like a book. It's based on a book, and it felt like a book, and it felt like what it was most interested in was just watching Jessie Buckley act more than anything else. And she's great, so it's super great to watch her just do her thing.
Yeah, it was. Craig.
My number 10, I'm going to start with a category of, I'm going to just call it crime. We're living in very criminal times, a lot of lawlessness out there. And there's a lot of good movies that were made about that. I thought I really enjoyed Relay. I loved Caught Stealing. I thought The Left-Handed Girl was also quite lovely. All three of those are on Netflix right now. Black Bag was a cool caper film.
Yeah.
And had a lot of layers there. I recommend all four of those movies. But my favorite caper film of the year was The Phoenician Scheme.
Nice.
And this was, I think, Wes Anderson's most spiritual film ever, and is really actually speaking to the times in a very weird way of like, what can the greediest, most self-centered person in the world, what's it going to take to pull them out of that? That kind of crime scheme. And can the love of a daughter, can the love of God change someone's heart? It was quite charming.
Yeah. I love The Phoenician Scheme. That was vying for my number 10 spot. And so it was right there. It was actually right there at 11. Really the comedy, the religious themes, the themes of father and daughter. I think it does, for me, a much better job of walking through a greedy, narcissistic character than Marty Supreme does, even though I love Marty Supreme and just the characters in it, just the character faces that Josh Safdie has in his film, and Marty Supreme is great. But I actually think that for me, The Phoenician Scheme does something a little bit better with that type of a character. And I think it was one of the funniest movies I watched.
Absolutely.
Last year. Like I couldn't stop laughing. Like it was hilarious. It was great. Just people getting blown off into in the airplane. Just I love The Phoenician Scheme a lot more than I thought I would. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's in my like honorable mentions as well. It's one that I thought I love Wes Anderson movies, and I've had a thing with the last few, not French Dispatch, but other than that one, the last few where I've been like, okay, I'm going to watch that again, and I'm going to really, really love it. But on the first take, it's either like something like Asteroid City is so dense, like narratively dense, that I know I'm going to need more time with it. And this, I appreciate how straightforward it was, for sure. But it like took me off guard because it was so straightforward compared to what he's done recently. But I feel like I'm going to need to watch this again. I loved all the themes. It reminded me of, I showed my kid Christmas Carol for the first time a few weeks ago. He had never seen it. We watched the Muppet version. And as we were going to bed, he's 6 years old. As we were going to bed after that, he said, Dad, I guess it takes all that to make one rich guy be nice. And that's also a good
Well said.
distribution scheme.
Yeah,
Well said.
exactly. Well, my number 10, I went with another comedy, really a small film, but a beautiful film, hilarious film, The Ballad of Wallace Island. I just love this. Tim Key, that character, he's so funny. Like, it just absolutely deadpan comedy, but it then delves into a lot of like angst. What does it look like when things fall apart and you're trying to figure out how to create art, how to actually live again? And it does a fantastic job of just bringing in these characters into a place of, hey, I don't know if I could love again. I don't know if I could live again. Am I going to be stuck in the past, or if I'm going to actually move into the future? I think that was one of the biggest themes I saw this year was movies really trying to reckon with the past, and whether we're going to be stuck in the past and let that define us, or we're going to actually move through it, heal, and then live again. But I loved The Ballad of Wallace Island.
Number 6 on my list. Absolutely favorite comedy of the year. Also love the songs. I listened to the soundtrack a bit afterwards. And I think it's also testimony they'd made it as a short film a while back. So they'd lived with these characters. Had time to develop the song. So this is like probably more like a 10-year project come into fruition by the time they got the money and the ability to put it on screen. And so I think that lived in familiarity that, it's like this is in the people's bones.
Yeah.
And all three of the leads are great. Carey Mulligan's fantastic as always. Tom Basden is fantastic as her partner. It's just, it's beautiful little gem of a movie.
Yeah.
And I hope it gets a much bigger audience over time.
Yeah. Elijah, number 9.
Number 9 for me is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I been a Del Toro guy for a long time, and know how much he has dreamed of making this movie. I couldn't wait to see it. When I saw it, it felt to me on the first watch, a lot like kind of what Scorsese ends up doing when he makes like one of his spiritual movies, where there's a little bit too much distance, like a little like kid gloves, treating it all preciously. I feel that in Frankenstein a little bit, that it's a little bit too, doesn't have that same kind of like disturbing drive that you get in a lot of Del Toro stuff, because he loves it so much. It's like his chance to do his thing he's dreamed about since he was a kid. And I love his take on all that it is. So I liked it. I thought the production design, of course, amazing in a Del Toro movie always. Truly unforgettable images. Jacob Elordi as the monster is incredible. Best monster performance in a serious Frankenstein movie ever, maybe. I mean, he's so good. He's like so many of Del Toro's monsters. He's like made of porcelain and just incredibly carved. It's just, and as a person acting under that, I mean, it's just incredible stuff. So I liked it for all these reasons when I first saw it. And then my grandmother died. And I went home to go to her funeral. And it's my mom's mom, my last living grandparent. And she died, went home for the funeral. We went to I was there for like 36 hours. Like it was a home and back kind of thing. Memorial service was over. I was driving home from there with my mom. And my mom just said, all I want to do right now is go see Frankenstein. And so we drove immediately to the theater, to the closest showing. They wouldn't let us in because it was one of those theaters where they like don't let you in after it starts, even though it's just the trailers running or whatever. They wouldn't let us in, and so I actually had to do the whole. Listen, we came here from my grandmother's funeral. This is all my mom wants to do. Let us in the room, and they let us in the room, and we watched the whole thing. I got to the very end, and my mom, she said, "Oh yeah, that was exactly what I needed." And it like changed my whole perspective on the movie, sitting there watching it with my mom, who had just lost her mom. And it helped me understand, like see things that Del Toro had done where he flips the story. So, at the end, we essentially have the creation forgiving the creator for all the creator's shortcomings, which is a flip of what happens in the book generally. And it just changed that whole dynamic for me. And I saw it as a parent, it's a parent-child thing as much as anything else. And it made it more precious to me having that experience as well. I'll never watch that movie now and not just think of my mom watching it after
Yeah.
my grandmother's memorial service. So very personal reasons.
Wow.
Love the movie. It just kind of that raised it for me a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I said, very
Yeah.
personal list this year, guys.
Yeah, it is a personal list, but what an experience, and the power of what film can do in the midst of a really difficult day and a
Yeah.
hard time, and see Frankenstein that way. And I think, this Frankenstein also, I think, touches on what a lot of billionaires are trying to do now in transhumanism, and like moving to like cheat death and live forever, and what that looks like. And it speaks directly to what people are trying to do
Yeah.
today as well. So yeah,
Del Toro has
good pick.
always been a guy who has a very high esteem of death,
Yeah.
and doesn't shy away from it, sees beauty in it and all that. And that was thank you, Del
Yeah.
Toro. At that moment, we needed it. So
Yeah, it's good. Craig.
Well, I loved if Phoenician Scheme was an upper class comedy, then my next one I would call a working class comedy. There were, I thought, some beautiful films this year, maybe written from we'll call those on the struggling side, those trying to get by. I thought One of Them Days was super fun. I really enjoyed The Baltimoreans, which is also about this kind of daily struggle. And these are small films, just a couple people interacting for the most of the movie. But my favorite one of this new kind of subgenre was Roofman.
Yeah.
Starring Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst. Has just a lovely, poignant love story between them. The church figures very prominently in the film as an agent of grace, as a place where you can restart. And again, it was just kind of not really noticed to the degree that I think it should have been. Very serious filmmaker behind it, Derek Cianfrance, or Cianfrance. I don't know how he pronounces it. But stuff he usually makes is really hard-edged dramas. And this one has, I think, some hard edges on it, but it's also very sweet. And maybe reflects his effort to try to find some lightness in the midst of a heavy, heavy time in American and global history.
Yeah.
That's one of two movies that another one might get mentioned later, so I won't mention it now, that because of those short theatrical windows, I just missed it. And I kept trying to find time to do it, and just with everything going on, I never could quite get there, and it was gone. I was so disappointed. There's one that I was more disappointed about, but I'm glad to hear that, though, because it looked like something that should be really good. And I love the director, too. So
yeah, it was one of the movies that surprised me the most this year. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. And it's something I wasn't able to see it in the theaters because my wife was like, this is the one I want to see with you. So you don't watch it. I want to watch Roofman with you. And so we watched it at home, and it was fantastic. Really a lot deeper and a lot more to say just about love and life and parenting, and just a lot deeper than I thought it was. So it was a great pick. Good choice. It's in my 11 through 20. It's a great movie. Yeah, my number 9, I just put it back in today, this morning. It's just a movie that's really stuck with me, and it also speaks to one of the themes, is to just looking back on the past. How are we going to live today? Are we going to be human? And what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to live a life that is just worthy, because it is a life, and it doesn't have to be spectacular. It's a life. And it was The Life of Chuck. The Life of Chuck was my number 9. It's I love the triptych, and the start with the mystery and the sci-fi elements of the story, and what does it look like, but the really going deep into just a life well lived. I love the dancing scenes, even with young boy, but right in the middle. Just that dance scene was one of my favorite scenes of the year. There in just the middle of the square, dancing with the busker. I just found that just fantastic, and just made me want to live life to the fullest. And so I think that's what I need in this really dark times that we live in, is what does it look like to live and dance?
Also deeply underappreciated again. It's like Neon, not a major studio release. This would have been a major studio release in an earlier era. It would have had time to maybe build. But then if we think back, Shawshank Redemption really didn't do much in the theaters either. People somehow like kind of creative and meaningful is very hard to market.
Yeah.
Studios don't know what to do with that, and audiences maybe stay away from it. Like, is that going to be fun? I don't know. Am I going to enjoy that? I don't know. And they're sort of unwilling to take that risk, and then it becomes this word of mouth thing that builds over time.
Yeah, it's good. All right, Elijah, 8.
Okay, my number 8 film. It's part 2. It's a part 2 film of a giant epic story, and I think it should be people should be more aware that it's a part 2, because if you go into it without having watched the part 1, it's not any good at all. Or if you go into it not thinking about part 1, it's I think a rather boring movie. But if you go into it thinking about part 1, it's pretty great, and it's kind of epically structured, and I'm kind of amazed that the filmmaker pulled it off, even though this filmmaker has a history of pulling off stuff that seemed kind of impossible. So, of course, I'm talking about Avatar, Fire and Ash, the latest Avatar movie, which if for nothing else, I'm just amazed at. This is the best this is ever going to get. This is what I think. This kind of motion capture CGI world thing, never going to get any better than this, because no one is going to be willing to put the kind of work into it that Cameron and his crew are willing to put into it, the extent that they're willing to go to make these things. It's just astounding imagery. Like, I can hardly believe it, that it is what it is. I've seen this is the one that wasn't on my list, and then I went back and saw it again, because I was like, every time I see one of these, it takes me at least to really like figure out what it's doing. Yeah. And that was true again. I went back and saw it in 3D. In 3D, it's like a whole different movie than it is in 2D, for one thing. A whole different experience. Loved it all the way through. He's been trying to figure out this 3D thing now for 20 years. I think it works pretty well in Way of Water. The Avatar, it was better than anybody else knew it at the time in the first one. Works pretty well in Way of Water. He's got it now. I mean, he's figured it out. He's probably done doing it. He's figured it out so well. Just the kind of restless mind he is. But it just, I can't believe this thing exists. Yeah. No one will ever do it better. It's just an incredible movie. And when you watch Way of Water and Fire and Ash as just like one really long movie, like one 8-hour movie, you start to see how he's woven the various character arcs throughout, that they have like, it's like 2 giant 3-act structures with 3-act structures within each one. Like, it's so well put together when you watch it all together.
Yeah.
Just an amazing piece of cinema. I mean, if you don't care about the story, like just the visuals and the sound is amazing work. So Avatar, Fire and Ash.
Yeah.
My number 8, I'm going to go with the horror subgenre. I really like the ghost story Presence. I love the imagination and the creativity in Sketch, bringing those monsters to life. Although I don't think it's not really a horror movie, but a great film about grief. But for sure, the horror film of the year was Weapons. Just brilliant use of structure, misdirection on the audience, Academy Award worthy performance from Amy Madigan. Yep. And just kudos to Zach Kreger for another really original and inventive, haunting story.
Yeah. Weapons is fantastic. Like, my favorite origin story in my own mind is Amy Madigan at the end of Field of Dreams says, I want to go find my father, goes out into the cornfield, can't find him at all. And she emerges 30 years later as this crazy aunt in Weapons. Like that's the origin story that I have in my head. And that makes it all the better for me. So I just
tied it together in a bow. Perfect. Yeah. Very twisted, clown-like bow.
That's right. That's right. It's good. My number 8, I think this is a cautionary tale of, if people are looking back on their lives, trying to figure out who they are, wanting to be loved, to be seen, to be known. This is a cautionary tale of saying that, hey, what you produce is not enough to actually be known and loved. And that is Blue Moon. Blue Moon is my number 8. And, this is definitely a movie where I think a lot of people might hate it. And some people will love it. And I absolutely love it. Like Ethan Hawke's, Lorenz Hart is just phenomenal what he does in his character work. I love just this one room dialogue heavy script where we're just like moving quickly. I was on the wavelength. It was there for me. I just had a smile on my face, even though it really is a dark story of, this Lorenz Hart, who was a writing partner with Rogers for a long time. Opening night of Oklahoma, where Rogers the Hammerstein is their first collaboration, becomes huge. And, you see at the very beginning of the movie, so it's not a spoiler of what happens to Lorenz Hart, right after this setting, this true story. But I just love just the way that Richard Linklater puts this together, that the collaboration they have together, telling the story, and that Ethan Hawke actually was not in the room, and Lorenz Hart was. It really was a big standout for me this year. Is Blue Moon.
Did you see Nouvelle Vague as well, the other Linklater film?
No, it's on my list. I just haven't gotten
it's
to it
super
yet.
Charming.
Yeah.
And very lighthearted and free-spirited. Yeah. And it's hiding in plain sight on Netflix, and nobody even knows that, right? They're just like, just buried it. So anyway, what a twofer as a director, right? To have these two films come out this year.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Okay. All right, Elijah, number 7.
Yeah, Train Dreams. Train Dreams is my number 7 film. Such a gentle, beautiful film about one man's life. That definitely, he definitely goes through some stuff. He carries some weight, but just a gentle, beautiful film. I kind of liken it to Tree of Life for people who don't hold any water for Christianity whatsoever. And I have a lot of friends like that, and I thought about them a lot while I was watching that movie, and it kind of helped me. I have a lot of very thoughtful, peaceful, wonderful friends that. Who aren't Christians, and it's fun to learn from them and to talk with them. And a movie like this helps me understand a bit more about the way that they view the world. Had good conversations with them about this movie since then, and I love it. I love it for that a lot. It's also fun to me to see a big Malick fan, to see some of Malick's methods showing up in movies like this, where it's not someone just aping the Malick style entirely, but just kind of having that same kind of rhythm, that same kind of awareness of the world, that same kind of respect for audiences and characters kind of woven through. So Train Dreams, that's next one for me.
Number 4 for me, absolutely beautiful. You get lost and you start swimming in it.
Yeah.
In the same way that I think he gets lost and is swimming in his time and period. And it's deeply meditative. Also a huge Nick Cave fan. So for them to go after him to create that final song, I really hope Nick Cave wins the Oscar.
Yeah.
That would be a beautiful justice, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think K-pop Demon Hunters. It's getting that for some like those were that was
a few billion more listens. It's okay. Yeah.
It would be great if Nick Cave got that. Train Dreams is my number 5. We'll get to that. It floored me. Loved it. I think I've seen that shot where the camera is on the tree as it falls. Like I've never seen anything quite like that. Like those types of things just made it incredible. William H. Macy for me was just incredible, and loved his character, the way he played it. He just was so grounded and just like lived in that logger community, and it's a great movie. All right, number 7. Go ahead.
But the way that people come in and out of that story, characters come in and out of that story and in and out of his life, that felt more real to me than what I generally see in movies about how characters interact with a main character. Like it was just that's a beautiful thing about life, to let people come in and out of your life and have a big impact on them. And even if you know them for a short amount of time, they just stick with you. And it did that so well, where one life becomes Like your life you're carrying so many lives with you. And it carried this. I loved that part of that movie.
Yeah.
My number 7, I'm going to call this as a tribute to my best actor of the year. Almost nobody saw the films Rebuilding or The Mastermind. Very different films, very different performances. But then I hope almost everybody will see his best performance of the year, Josh O'Connor in Wake Up Dead Man. Just a charming, theologically rich, wrestling match in Ryan Johnson's head, taking his childhood and his upbringing and the moment we're in and filtering all of that into a whodunit. I say, well done it.
It's in my honorable mentions. Wake Up Dead Man. I've long thought that Ryan Johnson makes really interesting preachy movies, and I often really enjoy the sermons, but they're very preachy, and I kind of have a little bit of a allergic reaction to preachiness in movies. But I will say, if he's going to do it, that's the way to do it. Like, Wake Up Dead Man is the way to do it, and I loved it. Josh O'Connor was amazing. Everybody's amazing in that movie. But
great ensemble. A lot of things to say. I'll save my thoughts for later as it comes up later on my list. But I love Wake Up Dead Man in this movie. It feels like it was written for me. It's just fantastic. My number 7 really surprised me. I finally caught up with it last week, and it floored me. It's one of the most beautifully shot movies, just gorgeous cinematography, very tense, great family story that really kicks into gear really in the third act, and it has my scene of the year in it, and it's 28 years later. And I think once Dr. Kelson, Ray Fiennes' Dr. Kelson comes on scene, like that's when the movie was like, this is it for me. Like what he does shows us how to live, how to be human in the midst of, this crazy infection that they're living through. And, it's just that scene in the Bone Temple just floored me. It was my scene of the year. I just wept like a baby. It was so good. So that's why 28 years later is my number 7.
You must be anticipating the next release then too, right? It's coming up, right?
Yeah, it's coming up. I think next week or so, really quick.
Yeah. Soon. I'm going to withhold my thoughts on 28 years later or later in the conversation. Not 28 years later in the conversation, just a little bit later.
Good. All right, Elijah, number 6.
Number 6, similar to Train Dreams in that it's a movie that a lot of people I love had very strong emotional reactions to, and I enjoyed talking with them about that movie. Another movie that I was amazed by about its style. I loved watching it. I didn't have the same strong reaction that some of my friends did to it, but I understand why they did, and that's Sinners. Sinners. I mean, just about as much fun as I had at the movies. Just the turns it takes, the acting, everything about that movie is just a ball, and it has some of the most beautiful sequences. The dance when people show up from all eras in that room, and that just incredible imagination and incredibly well carried off. And one of those movies where, like I said, a lot of people that I loved for a lot of reasons that didn't connect with me in the same way. And I was so grateful for them talking about those things with me and sharing that with me. So this is kind of like Train Dream. This is another one of those on my list because in honor of my community and the people I talk to. So amazing movie.
Yeah. Craig, do you want to say anything more about the Ballad of Wallace Island?
Well, no, actually, I was going to say Sinners is number 3 on my list.
We got all the movies on your list.
Well, I think that's the third time I've had mine higher than yours. So I'm interested in what Joshua puts above mine that are higher than his. So that's kind of what these lists are fun for. I mean, Sinners is a remarkably complete movie. Yeah. It's just a very mature piece of work, both from Michael B. Jordan and as well as Ryan Coogler. This is people at the top of their game. I'm also just grateful that they get the money and that the studio let them make it. This is a good sign. This feels a little like 70s cinema when the tours were given enough freedom to go for it and take a risk. And it was due to Hollywood running out of ideas. And so we're seeing now this original work like Sinners bubble up in ways that I think the audience is saying, please give me more. I need new metaphors. I need new visions for a new century.
Yes. It's interesting to see I was thinking about this when we were talking about weapons a moment ago too, how genre cinema is still like really important to this. And it's fun to see people like find a way to make these big, what feel like very personal, but very big movies via genre, like horror genre, especially. I think it's cool. It's like horror has always been popular and has stayed popular throughout all these years. And it's like meeting the blockbuster thing now in really neat ways.
Yeah. It does feel like horror is one of those communal experiences that people still go to at the theater. Like they want that. And, I also, one of the things that I'm disappointed in is those comedies that don't get a theatrical release. I think that could be a good communal experience in the theater. I think people are yearning for that, and they're just dropped on streaming that I think could do well.
Yeah.
Like the 90s and early 2000s, we had a ton of those that, man, some of my favorite theater experiences, just laughing hysterically with a bunch of people. So I hope that it's not just the comedians that make horror films that people go see, but there are also going to be some comedies that people see as well. But yeah, number 6 for me is Sinners as well. So it was fantastic. One of the things that I think is a great example of what assimilation and cultural assimilation can do to a culture and eliminate a culture. I think it's something that missionaries should study. They should study this film of what it looks like to actually like have cultural assimilation versus in an incarnate gospel into a culture, which is, I think, different than cultural assimilation to a culture that has Jesus as an appendage. I think this really says a lot what the church did wrong in some of this. And I think it's really astute in its assessment. But I also just think it's a great work of genre filmmaking. I think Ryan Coogler is fantastic. Michael B. Jordan in both roles is great. The story, like there's so much to it. And yeah, that dance scene, that juke joint scene, really to tell the story of what does culture look like over the years? How does it change and assimilate and move and go from one country to another country and to different places? That scene, also one of my favorite scenes of the year. So good. All right, number 5, Elijah.
Number 5 is a movie that for me that I just couldn't get it out of my head, and I still can't get it out of my head, and I think I know why. It's Steven Soderbergh's Presence. It's my number 5 film of the year, which I saw so long ago now. That was back in January or February or something like that when that movie was out, and it's I have a list that I run all year long where I move movies up and down as they pass other ones as I see them. But Presence has always been there, and I think when it comes down to I love Soderbergh. I really love Soderbergh's movies, and a big part of my past year of just home movie watching is just watching through Soderbergh's filmography and trying to get a handle on why I like him so much. And he's such a procedural type filmmaker, like process filmmaker, and he likes process, like showing you all the steps. There's the intellectual side of me kind of likes that bit of coldness, intellectual remove that's in a lot of his movies too, where I'm thinking about when I'm watching how it's put together. I think he wants me to be while I'm watching it. So it's just me understanding my own love of Soderbergh has been a big part of my year. And then Presence, great screenplay by David Koepp, as well, who's one of the greats. It was so honed in on this one thing, right? This like one perspective thing, and what it can show you and not show you from that one perspective, the mystery that runs through it. It's a nice exercise, like a filmmaking exercise to watch how he carries that off. It's almost like you become Soderbergh with the camera, right? As the camera is the main character in a lot of ways, and what they can hint at, red herrings, how you can build a whole world, a whole family, just with like very limited perspective. Really fun to watch. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was amazed at the subtext of the film. Not a lot of subtext in a lot of movies these days.
Yeah.
We're in a very bumper sticker, billboard kind of culture, I think, right now, where people want to declare things. But there's a lot of subtext, I think, in presence. I think that without, it's such a fun mystery. I don't really want to spoil anything. I think it's really important that when the ghost retreats, it goes into the closet. I'll put it that way. And I think that says a lot about what the movie is doing with masculinity, with the way that a certain kind of identity is being forced on a certain character by his parents and what they expect of him. The relationship he has with his sister and his friend is really interesting. Once you kind of tune in some of that subtext. Anyway, I love that mainly because I just love seeing subtext in a film, and how that enriches, how that can enrich all the other relationships. So it's kind of with Soderbergh. I need to watch it more and again and understand more about it. But he's just
Nice.
there's just hardly anyone that's good at just that technical craft thing of putting a movie together. So yeah, Presence.
It actually sent like an electric jolt through me at the end where there's a reveal, very brief.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I've ever had a more visceral experience. It's very strange because this is a film that doesn't have a lot of jump scares, that isn't coming at you. So it clearly was working almost on a psychic level with me, that it just like when it finally came together.
Yeah.
I would say on the sort of thematic issues that I would recommend Sorry Baby as well, that is taking a lot of toxic masculinity, a lot of sexual abuse, the Me Too era, and somehow turning that into comedy, somehow turning that into hope. It's very hard to do these kinds of things as filmmakers. And so I guess I just appreciate artists kind of wading into the cultural moment, using genres, and still coming out on the other side.
Yeah. I've had to learn to, I'm still learning to appreciate the more explicit dealings with those kind of things. Like a movie like, what was that movie called? I didn't actually see it. It had Andrew Garfield in it, and it was from
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts. Yeah.
After the Hunt.
After the Hunt.
Yeah.
That kind of dealt with a lot of things like very directly or whatever. And I'm learning to appreciate that kind of filmmaking. But I really like it when it's more subtle, and when you're dealing with that stuff in the subtext. So Presence did that so well. It's also the only movie I've ever seen that uses first person perspective, and it actually worked for me. No other movie that's tried that ever really worked for me. So
that's good. Great. Craig, you're number 5. We haven't mentioned it yet.
That's true. Thankfully. Well, actually 5, it's interesting. You were talking about, I don't know, metaphor versus overt. And number 5 is rooted in personal experience to such a degree that if you don't understand that experience, you may not quite get the movie. But it's called It Was Just an Accident. Deeply personal film by Iranian director Jafar Panahi. This is someone who's been imprisoned by government authorities. He's been blindfolded. He's been tortured for just telling stories. And telling stories that challenge the government narrative. And this film probably does that more directly and overtly than any ever before. But it's asking you, what would you do if you had a chance for revenge?
Yep.
How far would you go? And what personal codes might you compromise for the sake of revenge? Which, is a big issue in Iran, where there's a lot of government oppression. Obviously, it's a huge issue over here. As the 5th anniversary of January 6th comes up, we say, well, some people are willing to assault officers in the name of trying to assert a new law. So they'll break the law to assert the law. Well, is that a revolution? Is that against the law? And what is the higher law in all of this? So it was just an accident. The most surprising thing about it is at times an absurdist comedy. And so it's borrowing a bit from Waiting for Godot and putting you in that meditative space that also has comic elements and is very existential. It's super sophisticated filmmaking. Yeah. It was just an accident.
Yeah, that one's definitely coming up on my list. It was hilarious. There are a lot of hilarious moments. I love it when they're asking for bribes and they whip out a credit card machine, and like those sort of things are. Yeah, I loved. It was just an accident. I'll talk a little bit more about it in a little bit. Elijah, you're number 4.
Oh, my number 4 is One Battle After Another. Uh, Definitely the movie that I feel like was the most peerlessly constructed and made movie of the year. Just
Yes.
an astonishingly well put together movie. Not a surprise coming from somebody like P.T. Henderson to make a really good movie. That's not a shocker. But it is. It's so good. And again, a movie that kind of wears a lot of its themes on its sleeve. Not a subtle film at all. But I do think there's I don't think some of the things that it's unsubtle about need to be unsubtle. If that makes sense. Let's be straight about some stuff, that
Yep.
doesn't need to be subtle. The comic villain performance from Sean Penn is amazing. He's like a cartoon. He's like a cartoon character come to life. He's like John Wayne. I don't know what he's like. He's just astonishingly funny and good in that role. It's so fun to see that kind of masculinity skewered in that way. Chase Infinity, playing the daughter, is so astonishingly good. Really carries the movie. And then, it's a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio in it, and you think he's going to be the lead, and like nothing he does matters for like the entire movie. He's kind of this hapless dolt who can't do anything right, but he does one thing right, and that's that he never stops. He absolutely never stops trying to get to his daughter and trying to help his daughter. And because he never stops, he's in the right place at the right time when he needs to be. And, looking at P.T. Anderson's career and this theme of masculinity and how you be a man and how you love and how you be a child and now how to be a parent it's this theme that's been going throughout the entire thing. I like this development of it in this movie. It's a smart, funny, wonderful movie, and it's got Benicio del Toro in it again. Finishing Scheme in this being but now being one of the guys that I like most need in my life, to kind of shepherd me along. So One Battle After Another, incredible. Also, very personal response to it. I've been a lot of those places where it was filmed and went through not similar circumstances, but similar thoughts about how you be part of a radical community, what that requires of you. I've had some of those same conversations with people in some of those same places out in the near the Salton Sea in the California desert on Borrego. So, had that personal connection as well.
That's my number 2. So once again, you rank it here, I rank it there. I think it takes a lot to like steal a film from Leonardo DiCaprio, but I felt that with Benicio del Toro. That he was even more electric, even more present. And it's also just a lot of fun, right? Like it's kind of nail-biting fun. And so it will reward, it'll hold up to repeat viewings, I think, because of the visual pleasures and the performances within it. And that's a test of, it'll stand the test of time. And particularly when people try to understand this time that we're in, even though the film is set in this kind of ambiguous past, it's sort of taking from the Weathermen and taking from the 60s, but more set in the 90s. You start to say, well, it's really timeless fight. And the question is, what is revolting? And what is worth becoming a revolutionary for?
Even makes a good joke about that in the movie, right? Where it says like 16 years later and like nothing has changed, right? It's just like, this is always the same people. We're always fighting these battles.
One battle after another. And that's my number 4 as well. So I have it right there with you, Elijah. And it is Sensei. It is Benicio del Toro for me, because I think for me, a lot of what this movie says is it is about the danger of ideology and holding on to something so much that you're going to enact violence to make sure that this idea comes to pass. Whether it is the Christmas Adventurers Club, whether it is the revolutionaries, they come to almost similar assessments of this is how we enact change, and we do it by killing one another. And I think that Benicio del Toro really grounds the movie for me and shows us a different way, a third way of what it looks like to be a sensei in the middle of the revolution, in the middle of change and things that we actually need to see shift in our culture. And I think without him, I don't think the movie would have worked as well. And, I think he did things as he got on set that really, I think, shifted and changed and helped the story in ways that I think they needed. I really love this movie, and it does have my favorite car chase of all time. It was just so inventive. It was maybe made me a little queasy watching it on IMAX, but it was, it was so good, so good. I love that car chase.
Well, that car chase that goes through the Anza Desert, and those roads, they're not faking that. That's how those roads are. You're going up and down very steeply on those roads. You never know what's over the next rise. It's very much like that. Fun.
Yeah. That's great. All right. Your number 4, Craig, was Train Dreams.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then we're up to our number 3, Elijah.
Now we're getting to the part of my list that's the most personal, and I will admit before I get into these 3 movies that on any other year, if I was just doing this based on like pure like cinematic quality or whatever, and kind of keep myself out of it as much, probably none of these movies would be at the top of my list. But I'm not doing that, and I think they are all very good movies, and I have very personal responses to all 3 of them. So my number 3, like any other normal year, One Battle After Another is my film of the year. I'll put it that way. But this year, not. So my number 3 is Black Bag, Soderbergh's Black Bag, which man, to have 2 movies as good as Presence and Black Bag in one year. I mean, who else can do that except Soderbergh? Maybe Spielberg, but Soderbergh, the other Steven. And Black Bag is such a fun mystery on its own. It's a fun spy mystery. It's like Soderbergh's version of a George Smiley or a James Bond movie, right? He even uses a lot of Bond actors like in his movie and sets it up like a George Smiley movie. I mean, like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. So that's all super fun. But then it's also, I think, his attempt to be like, what if I made the coldest movie about the coldest people being as cold as you can imagine being to each other, the just frigid movie, and also made it incredibly romantic and erotic and about like the love, like fidelity in marriage and monogamy and how good that is and how it like keeps a structure to society that you need and how important it is. I mean, all these things woven into the coldest film you can imagine. And I love that. I love that almost like a dare, can this work or whatever. It totally worked for me. As I watch Kate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender's marriage, it's nothing like my marriage with my wife, but it is so much like my marriage with my wife. Just the way that they interact, the kind of people that they are. I told my wife after I saw it, I was like, if we were super spies, this is what it would be like for us to live. Just absolutely committed to one another, love each other so much. I'm the one who's in the kitchen cooking. She's the one who's out there, like, kind of like storming the gates of everything all the time. Like, just so much like that. But then also just so well put together. So much fun to watch. Such a good reveal. He does some of the hardest things anyone ever does, which is just have a dinner table scene. And he does it twice.
2 times.
2 times. And they're both just absolutely gripping. I mean, just what an amazing movie. Love it so much.
Yeah.
So cold. So cold. Wear a coat when you watch it.
I love Black Bag. That was actually my number 9. I switched it out this morning for Life of Chuck, just as thematically. But Black Bag, so much. Yeah, you're right. You said it all, Elijah. It's fantastic movie. I really love it. It was really good. Craig, you, number 3 for you is Sinners.
My 3's already gone. I am a sinner, and I love the movie. So let's move on. What's your number 3, Josh?
My number 3 is probably the epitome for me of what it looks like to reckon with your past, and trying to figure out, what does art do in your life? How do we connect to one another? How are we known and how are we seen? My number 3 is Sentimental Value. This movie, just the acting, Renata Reinsva's acting is just floored me. Like like there was the scene, she's reading the scene that her father wrote, in there for her. It reminded me of Naomi Watts in Mulholland Drives. And it just, I don't know, I just have been thinking, I was like, oh, that was one of the ones where like just acting and reading a scene just drew me in ways that I was mesmerized. And I think that's what it did for me there. But I loved just what is place, what is family. Stellan Skarsgård is, somebody who is a narcissistic jerk, doesn't know how to handle relationships with his family besides making movies with them, and that's the only way he knows how to connect. He knows how to give the piano teacher to his grandson as a birthday gift. He doesn't really know how to connect with family, but he tries to do it through his art. Doesn't quite succeed throughout his life, and I don't know if he really wants to do that or if he wants to make his movie, make his art for art's sake. But I just loved everything about this movie. It was like humming along for me, and then I don't know, it just landed in a perfect spot where it just bowled me over. The movie floored me. I loved it. It's sentimental value.
Beautiful. Beautifully said.
All right, number 2, Elijah.
My number 2, I could describe my number 2 the same way you described sentimental value when you started describing it. So a movie about how did you put it? Reconciling with your past.
Yeah,
and the place that art plays in your life, and how we can learn to how to love one another better. Be a better community. So that movie for me was Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Actually, my number 2 movie of the year. Really, for all those reasons, though. I'm not lying about that. I really feel like it was such a huge, biggest blockbuster you can imagine, right? But also incredibly personal film that where Ethan Hunt or Tom Cruise, they're kind of the same person at this point. Kind of thinking about their past 30 years of filmmaking in this series, and looking at what kind of reveling in the art of it all, the art of the stunt and the big set piece and all that. They've kind of like really honed in on that, and I think Tom Cruise he's very aware of what his ability to entertain like brings to the world and what it offers to us, and he's serious about that, but also having a lot of fun, I think, in making these movies. And there's moments in this movie that just feel so personal, like uncomfortably personal, like the way that he is rescued from the ice. Depending on what trailer you watched, there was different women rescue him from the ice in different moments. And they weren't sure who was going to rescue him until the very end, and then they have Haley Atwell's character do it. And there's something about like Tom Cruise and brown-haired women has been a theme like throughout all these movies as well. And there's kind of a mother, lover, sister, friend thing going on with all that, which I think is his best that Tom Cruise gets to do now since jumping on the couch. He doesn't really get to be a romantic lead as much anymore. But there's something really serious going on there too, with him like thinking about like what do these people mean to me and why. And it's a big movie where he's just trying to get people to not kill each other the entire time. And like, why don't we just like chill out a minute? And if we don't come together, we're not going to survive this thing. And I feel like that's a very contemporary message as well. From someone like him. So I have a long love of Mission Impossible. The first one was one of those movies that I watched constantly when it was on VHS when I was younger. I've loved the whole series. To have it all come together in a movie like this that had such incredible set pieces, so much heart, so much heart actually. So much of that movie revolves around people resolving things with one another, finding out that they have peace where maybe you didn't expect them to, like William Dunlow, finding he had a really good life because of what happened to him, and all that. So I absolutely loved it. I
Mm.
saw it 4 times in the theaters in the space of a week. I
4 times.
couldn't get
Wow.
enough of it. It just like completed an arc of my life from
Mm.
1995 to now. You know, it just was so. I loved it so much. I watched it multiple times here at home since it came out on Blu-ray too. I just love it. I'm so
Wow.
grateful for it. So, like I said, very personal, but just an amazing movie, an amazing series.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get more of them because I think I'm fine with this. Moved on to making movies with interesting directors again, which is great.
Yeah.
I like that kind of Tom Cruise. So, yeah, just loved it. Yeah, that's number 2.
Man, that submarine scene, I think for me, like you just going that stunt, just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, the plane scene was great too, the stunt at the end, but that submarine scene, I was like, and then to do two huge stunts, set pieces in this movie,
I know.
like it's just incredible. Just
Yeah.
to watch that, so tense, so good. I couldn't get over the retrospective type of feeling the first third of the movie really gave me. This is like sitting through a retrospective, but the final two, as they resolve those things and that, it's like I didn't need to actually see a bunch of clips from all the former movies, but hey, we got it. It was good. It was good that you got to reckon with it.
It was just the biggest mission briefing ever, is what it was. Like it was you popping the VHS in, you're watching the mission briefing, it goes on for half an hour, but that's okay. Yeah. It's the last time we're really going to do this thing. That's how I felt about it. I'm in the bag for that one. So.
That's good. Yeah. Any other things you want to say? You're number 2, Craig. One battle after another.
No, the film is so mega, that I think it stands on its own.
Yeah.
I think the cinematic experience around that was part of it for me. I saw it in 70 millimeter IMAX, biggest screen possible, and just these huge close-ups, of these intense characters face to face that appear 3 or 4 different times in the film. It's just like, that's what movies can do. It can elevate everybody through that experience. And I loved it. I don't want to lose it. Right. Let's keep the big screen going. If it takes the Odyssey, if it takes Christopher Nolan telling the oldest story of all time, fine, let's do that. Please,
That's right.
Please keep going to theaters, people.
Yeah. Well, my number 2 is something you already mentioned, Craig. It was just an accident. And it's because this film asks whether we will perpetuate cycles of violence. Will we continue with the dehumanization of humanity, the violence that we perpetuate on one another, or are we going to break those cycles? Are we going to go a different way? When is enough? Is mercy actually better than sacrifice and judgment and killing of one another? And can we love our enemy? And I think this is a film that asks that question in ways that I haven't seen many films do quite as well. As like, what does it look like? Do we love our enemy? Do we not love our enemy? Is this person in front of me human, or is it just somebody that as in the film you realize they were tortured by somebody and they were blindfolded, and so this wasn't a human that was torturing them, but when they may find him, they may not find him, whatever happens here. The question is this now a human in front of me, and what am I going to do with it? And what am I going to do with that information? And I just love that conversation, and to have that conversation in a country where we see each other as enemies and we want to take down our enemies, just to go another way. I think this is what we need in the world today. Is we need more art like this, and we need more people that could make decisions of whether we're going to perpetuate cycles of violence or we're going to stop it. We're going to end it. So it was just an accident. My number 2. So good.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
All right, Elijah. Number 1.
Well, as promised, it is 28 years later. Sorry, it's 28 years later is my film of the year. I couldn't be more surprised that is my film of the year. I am not big on Danny Boyle at all. I have a long history of having a lot of trouble with Danny Boyle's movies. And Alex Garland is a filmmaker that I enjoy, but I also kind of find his themes somewhat muddy usually, and have trouble with his movies for that reason. So I was not expecting to love this, and I mean it's my film of the year. It gets. And it's very personal. It's a beautiful film, so well put together. Can't believe it is as good as it is. It still can't help but do a Danny Boyle thing in the end. But I get frustrated with this kind of thing where the Jimmys show up again, and it just goes crazy again because he just can't help himself. That's how I feel about it. But what it does so well is depict a religious community where people are willing to lie to one another to maintain a narrative that helps their community survive. And that is an experience I am familiar with. And part of my life is coming to grips with that and trying to understand that better. The way the religious community that I grew up in would tell its stories in a way that helped it survive. And the difficulty I had with that as I got older and saw some of those what appeared to be lies to me and how that was used, and how young people and old people, but young people especially, were influenced to try to preserve that community. And I'm saying all this, and I also completely understand why the community needed to survive. I mean, they're trying to survive in this movie on a place where they will be turned to zombies if they don't. Like, there is so much going on there that is so. There is credibility to what they're doing. I can say that. But when he leaves the island, he discovers a whole different kind of religious order, of spirituality, a way to love the world that is a little bit scary, that is aesthetically rooted, that is just so beautiful and thoughtful when he meets Ralph Fiennes, my character of the year. If I aspire to be anything, it's Ralph Fiennes, and 28 years later. And the way he, and then just that also meshing in him of various spiritual practices, that because you first see him, he feels like he might be Hindu, covered in the red as he is, the iodine color as he is. There's that apothecary, or ossuary. The use of an ossuary is like throughout cultures all everywhere. I mean, I just love all of that. How do we do this life thing of life and death, and making sense of it through an aesthetic practice, an artistic practice of building this thing and letting someone interact with it. So that's also been a part of my life and my life journey. So I felt all these things. On top of it all, it also made me feel the pandemic thing in a way that even a movie like Eddington, which is explicitly about that, can't. There's something about metaphor that is stronger than reality. And in all three of these movies that meant the most to me, these last three, that's true. Like, there's a big metaphor at play, but it feels more true and more real about what this experience of how we go through a traumatic thing, how we come out of it, how we find a way to live and love beyond it. I'm really curious to see what happens in the other movies, the Bone Temple, and then the third one's supposed to be directed by Boyle again, what they do with it. But if they never make any more, I'm really grateful for 28 years later.
Yeah, I was surprised about the reaction after watching it and the reaction of the movie. I don't know what people were expecting, but they weren't expecting the thoughtful, incredible film that they got. They were expecting something different.
Yeah,
and so
more Jimmy's what they're probably expecting.
It's good. It's beautiful. Well said, Elijah. All right, Craig, you're number one.
My number one covers many of the things that you just covered. It's about religious community. It's about faith. It's about doubt. It's about, being persecuted and killed for your convictions. And it is The Testament of Anne Lee.
I need to see this.
I need to see that too.
God, I'm so jealous that you've already seen
it. It's only playing in 4 theaters in 70 millimeter. They're not even the right theaters. It's playing in like the wrong theaters in the city. So it feels to me like this will be buried. It will not be seen. It'll never really have its day in the larger public. But it is, to me, the boldest, biggest swing that any filmmaker made this year. And so credit to Mona Fastvold and Brady Corbet, who made it, her co-writer. These are the folks behind The Brutalist. It's in some ways a different kind of answer. It's a female answer to that. This is a woman's picture about people treating women as crazy and treating women as problematic. And what if we treat them as ordained by God and gifted by God and called by God? And it just goes to crazy, wild places. It is a musical. It's got dance numbers. It takes faith seriously, and you're just like, this thing is nuts. And and the way it's shot is shot so beautifully. It feels like it's been unearthed from that period. Particularly seeing it in 70 millimeter. It was kind of dark. It was kind of grainy, and it was like, I think I'm watching something from like 1740 or 17.
Wow,
love that.
And then, of course, the Shakers and this ecstatic religion. What is that? Yeah. And how do we deal with the Pentecostal, and how do we deal with the Spirit? And it's very mysterious. and the film, I think, respects that, which is super surprising. Fantastic performances, Amanda Seyfried and Louis Pullman, Bill Pullman's son, both fantastic, playing brother and sister. Ann Lee and her brother William. It'll make you go deeper on the history. We may see a boom in attendance at Shaker villages around America. I think there's 6 or 7 still left in America, historical reference points. And people are just going to be fascinated if they dare to watch it. But as a women's picture with like religion and musicals, it's just like, this should not work. And I think it's a masterpiece that'll last 100 years.
Yeah. It's great. I'm really looking forward to that. That's one I wanted to catch up with before this list, and the other is No Other Choice. Both of them, I can't get to them. But man, I'm excited.
I want to see Surat as well. Surat.
That was on my list too. That's Surat. Yeah, that's great. Well, my number one, Craig said it. We talked about it a little bit. Wake Up Dead Man. It's just, for me, it was written for me. Rian Johnson, although for Elijah gets some preachy, I love his preachiness. I love everything Rian Johnson does. He's my favorite writer director that's working. He is, I don't know. He and I, maybe it's because we grew up very similar, and we're roughly the same age. Grew up very similar. It's just the same. It's the wavelength that we're on. And this feels like reckoning with his past in ways that we need right now to figure out, are we going to have a Christless Christianity and we're going to go for power and domination in this world, or are we going to have a Christianity that is full of Christ and embodies the way of Jesus? And so, Josh O'Connor's performance as Father Judd is just phenomenal. And embodies Jesus for somebody that has actually tasted the grace of God in his life and the mercy. He knows how to extend it to others. Just some beautiful scenes in there. I never expected a Benoit Blanc murder mystery to actually have something really relevant to say to our day and age of what it looks like to have faith that is real, and not have faith that wants to dominate and subjugate and wants power over. I think it is, it just the theme of what we talk about a lot on my podcast. It's right. It epitomizes that there in Wake Up Dead Man. Is just, for me, this is it. It was, even though in my screening at the very end of the movie, it just cut out twice. And when they had to restart it, rewind it, because everything's digital these days, right? It's a Netflix movie. So they just rewound it a little bit and played it through and we got it. So it just, even though my first experience was like that, I think it's even great. On a second watch, you can see everything that Rian Johnson put in it. It's all there for you to figure out. So you're not just trying to figure out what this mystery is. You could actually then let the movie play on its own terms. I love it. Wake Up Dead Man. That's it for me.
Beautiful. I had the privilege of actually seeing it projected on film. This is like one of the advantages. I'm sad even as I say it, because I feel like It's like film is like sort of heading towards opera, where it's like,
Yeah.
yes, there'll be these palaces where you pay a premium and you can see it as it was intended,
Yeah.
to be, projected, and you can see it in community and you can experience it, with the kind of the look and the feel and the taste that was intended. And I'm going to keep supporting
Yeah.
films, and keep getting out of the house and making a special effort, even as Netflix tries to bury it and doesn't even want to put it in theater. I hope
I
there'll be
know.
more filmmakers like Ryan Johnson who have the leverage to say you must release it. You
Mm.
must show it on a few screens for a couple of weeks at least.
That's good. All right, those were our lists, our top 10 of the year for all of us. Any honorable mentions, any movies that we haven't talked about that you just want to briefly mention, Elijah?
Yeah, just other good times I had in the movies. I mean, K-pop Demon Hunters is a lot of fun. It's such a surprise. And if you look
Yeah.
at my Spotify Wrapped, you'll see that it's all Bluey music and K-pop Demon Hunters because that's what my kids want to listen to all the time. Even though they've never seen the movie, they just love the songs. My 2-year-old,
Yeah.
I get bigger from daycare, and she says, "Dada, where my pop? Where my pop?" We got to listen to Soda Pop all the way home. Love that. I like Superman. That was fun. James Gunn Superman. I enjoyed that. Predator Killer of Killers. That's a Hulu release, but that was a really
Yeah.
fun little movie. I had a good time at The Materialist.
Me too.
That was
Yeah.
really interesting and different.
I think it'll stand the test of time. It's
Yeah.
not showing
Yeah.
up on anybody's lists, but because there's no other romance
Yeah.
around, it's going to end up being very representative of the era.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. Fun. And then I I had a terrific time with Sonic 3. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I don't know. Like part of it was seeing it with my son. We watched like the first 2 Sonic movies and then went and saw Sonic 3 like around the same day. So that was fun. But it's just
It was no Naked Gun for me. It was no Naked Gun. I mean, if you
Naked
really
Gun
want to
was
talk
super
about
fun too.
Naked Gun was great.
Like
You know.
Jim Carrey being robotic, that just it like being robot. I don't know. Just like I don't need anything else. That's great. And then my other one is F1. I really liked F1. I saw that
Totally
one
enjoyable.
at an IMAX screening. Really loved it.
Totally enjoyable. Yep.
I was laughing the whole time like I was watching Beowulf, just a new version of Beowulf. And then at the very end, like the last thing he says is, "I'm off to fight more dragons." And I'm like, "So you know you're Beowulf too? I know what you're doing." Movie, so much fun.
Yeah, F1 was maybe one of my favorite film going experiences this year. I saw it at the Pacific Science Center in Seattle on, true IMAX screen. It was just so much fun. It was, we were out visiting my parents. I was able to go on a date with my wife, and leave my son with my parents, and we had a blast. It was so good. That was IMAX. Like that's it. That's what it's made for right there. It's just a fun experience. Yeah.
How they made that movie is kind of amazing. Have y'all seen that?
Yeah.
Like how they filmed it like during F1 races and stuff? Like just set up extra pit crew and just filmed?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'll add for me, just we didn't mention any, but it was a great year in documentaries. And that's really, to me, it's almost like a separate list because it's a separate genre, but so many really smart films like The Perfect Neighbor, Deaf President Now, Zodiac Killer Project, Pavements. These are really creative films, in dealing with the genre in new ways. So highly recommend. And then I love music. So, I was all over Sly Lives and Lilith Fair and One to One John and Yoko, Becoming Led Zeppelin, like Turn It Up Loud. I was into all of that. So,
that's great. My documentary of the year is Put Your Soul in Your Hand and Walk. It's, just told through video chats in Gaza. And so I had some quibbles with the director, her not really knowing how to ask deep questions or questions that actually reveal much of anything, but to actually get an inside look into what is happening in Gaza, to be with somebody and her family, and just to see some of that was really powerful. put your soul in your hand and walk. And a movie that I don't think people got, but it was amazing to me, was A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. I don't know why people maybe expected something like this romantic journey, but what they got was, again, my theme of the year of reckoning with your past. And you can't actually move forward until you heal your past. And that's what was happening. And there was enough whimsy in that movie. It was, yeah, Coconato's Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey was really fantastic for me. And I was really sorry that a lot of people just didn't get it. And it came and went really quick because I thought it actually had a lot of great things to say, and it was better than people thought. Another honorable mention is EFUS. Really good hangout baseball movie. A construction crew is going to demolish their baseball field. Two rec teams play their last baseball game together, and so it's about this community. It's about the loss of their ritual and pastime, not wanting to give up. So it's like, it's a bunch of old guys talking about the death of the theater and wanted to hold on to film. It's kind of like that with baseball. And,
exactly. And so people might find this podcast a little like a EFUS pitch.
That's right.
Kind of slow, but hopefully it sneaks up on you.
That's right. That was a sneaky good one. I really enjoyed Mickey 17. I don't know, Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17 was fun.
It's out there.
It is out there. It is crazy. It is strange. And I had a really good time with it. It was a lot of fun. So great.
Bong Joon-ho never shies away from what he's doing. Just all the way in.
Yep. He is all the way in. Yep. All the way in. Wonderful. Well, that's our top 10 of the year, 2025 movies. Thank you for listening. Craig, how can people connect with you? Anywhere you'd like to point people to?
The Wedgwood Circle is where we invest in cultural projects and try to make the world slightly, and the arts, a little more good, true, and beautiful.
Amen. Elijah.
I would just point people to my website, just my name, ElijahDavidson.com. But if you're there, click on the come and see link in the menu. I have a weekly kind of newsletter thing that I wrote a book that takes people through film history from the beginning to now, and all the greatest movies. And there's little devotions written for each film, 250 movies throughout that. And you can get that for free. Just sign up to the email thing, and then it comes every Sunday morning straight to your inbox, and it'll walk you through film history. Starts at the beginning and goes through. So I would point people to that. I'm proud of that. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Really good. So Craig, Elijah, thank you for this. It was a pleasure. To be honest, this is my favorite conversation of the year. I love talking movies, and I love talking movies with you guys. So thank you so much. It was great.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks for hosting.
Thanks.
Happy viewing.